Planetary height, tall, short, average build. Mercury. Now let's decode Mercury, the planet of intellect, agility, and youthful energy. In classical descriptions, Mercury is generally considered short in stature, but that's just the starting point. Mercury's physical expression is more about being light, quick, and versatile than imposing or grand. When Mercury is prominent, especially in the ascendant, you often find someone with a compact, wiry frame, quick reflexes, and an expressive face that seems constantly animated. A strong Mercury in the first house, or influencing the lagna, typically gives a slender body and a youthful appearance, regardless of age. These individuals might be shorter in height, but they make up for it with agility and sharpness in both movement and speech. There's a lively energy in how they carry themselves, almost like they're thinking faster than they're moving, which is saying something. Now, when Mercury conjoins a taller planet like Jupiter, you'll notice an interesting blend. Mercury-Jupiter in the ascendant often results in medium height with a fuller, more rounded build than Mercury alone would suggest. The person may still retain Mercury's expressiveness and quick movements, but with Jupiter's generosity added to their physical presence. Think of a friendly, talkative teacher with a slightly broader build and strong storytelling energy. With Saturn, Mercury becomes more subdued and linear. A Mercury-Saturn combination often gives a leaner frame and a more serious expression. These natives may appear thinner, slightly shorter, and more contained in body language. However, they still carry that quick Mercury spark. It just shows up as dry wit or sharp precision rather than playfulness. Their posture tends to be more upright, almost formal. When Mercury is with Mars, both short planets, you often get a sharply defined, alert body type. These individuals are quick in every sense, physically, mentally, and emotionally. The height typically stays below average, but the presence is bright and electric. Their eyes dart, their gestures are rapid, and they may talk with their hands. They tend to come across as fiery, intense, and sharply intelligent. Conjunction with Venus often creates a charming, proportionate body, especially when Mercury is in an airy or earthy sign. While height may still be average or below, the grace factor goes up. These individuals tend to be stylish, witty, and physically expressive. There's a delicate refinement to their gestures. Think dancers, musicians, or eloquent speakers who move as fluently as they think. When Mercury is with Rahu, its nervous energy can be exaggerated. This combination can create a wiry body with unpredictable or jerky movements. The native might be of short to medium build, but constantly fidgeting, shifting, or adjusting. With Ketu, Mercury's motion becomes more internalized. These natives may appear reserved or elusive, their body language less animated, but their intellect still sharp beneath the surface. Mercury in Gemini or Virgo, its own signs, especially gives a youthful and compact build, quick, intelligent, and full of movement. In fire signs, Mercury becomes more dramatic. In earth signs, more composed. And in water signs, more emotionally reactive in posture and gestures. So when Mercury is the planet shaping the body, it's less about how tall you are and more about how vividly you move, think, and interact. Even in a smaller frame, Mercury expresses presence through communication, speed, and subtlety. You don't notice them because of size. You notice them because they're already a step ahead. Planetary glances, upward, downward, straight, sideways. Now let's decode Mercury, the planet of intellect, communication, and adaptability, whose glance is classically considered sideways. Unlike the straightforward moon or the upward-looking sun and Mars, Mercury glances to the side, symbolizing curiosity, flexibility, and mental agility. When Mercury is strong in a chart, especially in the ascendant, third, or sixth house, you'll often see this expressed in the eyes and gestures. Quick, scanning, restless, always observing something others might miss. People with a prominent Mercury rarely look in one fixed direction for too long. Their glance shifts quickly, left to right, back and forth, just like their thoughts. This sideways gaze isn't evasive, it's analytical. They aren't avoiding you. They're reading the room, taking in the details, listening not just to what's said, but what's implied. It's a thinking person's glance, alert, scanning, sharp. This kind of gaze often gives Mercury-influenced people a youthful or clever appearance. Their eyes may sparkle with mischief or playfulness, and their body language tends to be animated. The sideways glance contributes to their wit and spontaneity. They often make quick, humorous remarks or ask questions that catch people off guard. They may not look straight at you for long, but they're definitely noticing everything. Now, when Mercury is conjoined with an upward glancing planet like the Sun or Mars, the sideways glance takes on more direction. Mercury's Sun gives a thinker with leadership qualities, someone who not only gathers information but knows where to take it. Mercury-Mars creates a sharper, more reactive body language, still glancing sideways, but with a readiness to respond or challenge. The result is someone fast with both words and moves. With downward glancing planets like Saturn or Rahu, Mercury's glance becomes more internal or calculating. Mercury-Saturn may look thoughtful or even skeptical, as if assessing everything quietly before speaking. The person may glance sideways, but with less playfulness, more as a tool of strategic observation. Mercury-Rahu makes the gaze twitchy or anxious. Rapid side glances, irregular speech patterns, or an intense hunger to figure out hidden meanings. When Mercury is with the Moon or Venus, the glance becomes more harmonious or socially engaging. Mercury-Moon gives a soft, communicative look, expressive eyes that dart sideways with emotional undertones. Mercury-Venus makes the sideways glance graceful and flirtatious, often seen in artists, performers, or charming conversationalists. Their body language is elegant but playful, and the gaze enhances their social magnetism. Mercury in air signs, Gemini, Libra, Aquarius, emphasizes the classic sideways glance. These natives are cerebral, always thinking, always observing. In earth signs, the glance becomes more practical and controlled. In fire signs, Mercury's gaze is quick and reactive. In water signs, it becomes more emotional or intuitive, but still off-center, never fixated, always inquiring. So when Mercury leads the way, the body doesn't stand still or march forward, it responds. The sideways glance reveals a mind in motion, constantly adjusting, constantly learning. These are people who don't need to look you in the eye to understand you. They're already 2 steps ahead, watching from the side, absorbing everything. In their glance, you don't see certainty, you see possibility. Planetary height, tall, short, average build. Jupiter, part 6. Let's turn to Jupiter, the planet of wisdom, expansion, and abundance. Classical texts consistently describe Jupiter as tall and well-built, often with a large or full body, and it makes perfect sense symbolically. Jupiter expands whatever it touches, so when it influences the physical body, especially the ascendant or its lord, you often see someone with a tall frame, broad shoulders, and an overall generous physique. When Jupiter is in the ascendant, or strongly aspecting the Lagna, the person tends to appear dignified, approachable, and confident. Height is usually above average, or at least gives the impression of largeness, whether in physical dimensions or in presence. There's also a certain softness to their body, rounded features, a warm expression, and a certain benevolent glow. Their posture often reflects self-assurance, like someone who stands tall, not just physically, but morally. When Jupiter conjoins another tall planet like Saturn, the height is often further emphasized. Jupiter-Saturn in the Lagna can produce a tall, structured build. Jupiter gives bulk, and Saturn adds leanness and firmness. The result is someone who appears grounded and respectable, often with a serious but stable demeanor. They might carry the weight of responsibility, but with a natural sense of purpose and poise. With shorter planets like Mars or Mercury, Jupiter's height might be moderated slightly, but the overall body still feels substantial. Jupiter-Mars, for instance, often gives a solid and athletic build, tall, muscular, and full of energy. The native may not be bulky, but there's a commanding presence. Jupiter-Mercury, on the other hand, may produce someone more intellectual in bearing, but still sturdy, with quick movement wrapped in a large, expressive frame. Jupiter with Venus creates a body that is both elegant and expansive. These individuals may have a tall and symmetrical appearance, often carrying both grace and gravitas. This combination usually makes people very attractive in a wholesome way. They appear trustworthy, balanced, and pleasant. Their height is matched with warmth and softness that makes others feel safe around them. When Jupiter is with Rahu, it can exaggerate the size or presence even more. The person might appear larger than life, sometimes physically, and sometimes just in personality. There could be weight gain or a tendency toward excess, but also a magnetic aura that draws people in. With Ketu, the physical frame may remain tall, but the personality might carry a quieter, more spiritual tone, less outward expansion, more inner depth. Sign placement matters too. Jupiter in Sagittarius or Pisces, its own signs, enhances height and openness. These natives often look like natural teachers, with a calm but expansive body language. In Cancer, exalted, the build is tall and nurturing, with a broad chest and open expression. In Capricorn, debilitated, the Jupiterian largeness may feel suppressed. These individuals might be tall but reserved, with a more serious or leaner appearance. So when Jupiter influences the body, you typically get someone with stature, not just in height, but in how they carry themselves. It's the planet that says, I take up space because I bring value. A Jupiterian person doesn't just stand tall, they lift others around them. Whether it's in the classroom, the boardroom, or the living room, their presence is hard to ignore. Planetary glances, upward, downward, straight, sideways. Jupiter Part 6. Let's now explore Jupiter, the planet of wisdom, optimism, and expansion, whose natural glance is considered straight ahead. Much like the moon, Jupiter's gaze is direct, steady, and clear. But while the moon reflects emotional presence, Jupiter's straight-ahead glance reflects purpose, clarity, and benevolence. When Jupiter is strong in a chart, especially in the ascendant, 9th, or 10th house, you'll often see someone who looks you in the eye with calm authority, warmth, and moral confidence. People with a dominant Jupiter have a gaze that feels trustworthy. They meet your eyes not with intensity, but with openness. Their body language tends to be grounded and upright, and their eyes reveal a natural sense of direction and assurance. There's nothing shifty or evasive in a Jupiterian glance. What you see is what you get. Their posture also tends to be tall and composed, as if carrying the weight of knowledge with ease. Jupiter's straight glance symbolizes integrity. These are individuals who typically live by certain principles or values, and it shows in how they engage with others. They often hold eye contact while speaking, walk with a measured pace, and carry themselves with a quiet but unmistakable sense of purpose. Their gaze often feels kind and guiding, like someone who wants you to grow and believes you can. Now, when Jupiter is with upward-looking planets like the Sun or Mars, the steady gaze becomes more ambitious. Jupiter-Sun combinations often give leadership rooted in ethics, people who lead from principle, not ego. Jupiter-Mars adds energy and drive to the focused glance, resulting in a teacher-warrior kind of presence, action with conscience, strength with kindness. With downward-looking planets like Saturn or Rahu, Jupiter's steady glance may get filtered through realism or intensity. Jupiter-Saturn gives a serious, focused look, still direct, but with greater caution or gravitas. It's the gaze of someone who sees the big picture but also understands limits. Jupiter-Rahu may exaggerate the Jupiterian purpose, creating someone whose eyes look forward with a kind of inflated confidence or spiritual intensity. When conjoined with Mercury or Venus, side-glancing planets, Jupiter's gaze may soften or broaden. Jupiter-Mercury often brings a conversational, engaging presence. The person still looks straight ahead but with more humor or lightness. Jupiter-Venus gives a warm, generous look, someone who appears both wise and loving, like a benevolent guide or nurturing counselor. In signs like Sagittarius or Pisces, Jupiter's straight-ahead gaze becomes visionary and compassionate. These individuals often look like they're tuned into something higher, yet grounded in worldly goodness. In earth signs, the gaze becomes practical and measured. In fire signs, it's bold and enthusiastic. In air signs, idealistic and thoughtful. And in water signs, emotionally expansive. So when Jupiter sets the tone, the glance is neither aggressive nor withdrawn, it's reassuring. These are people who look you in the eye and give you space to believe, to grow, and to rise. Their body stands firm, and their gaze says, I see the path, and I see your place on it too. Jupiter doesn't just look ahead, it shows you the way forward. Planetary height, tall, short, average build, Venus, Part 5. Now let's explore Venus, the planet of beauty, charm, sensuality, and harmony. Classical astrology generally describes Venus as having an average height, but what really defines Venusian presence is balance and grace. Whether the native is short, tall, or in between, when Venus is strong, especially in or aspecting the ascendant, you'll often see a well-proportioned height, attractive body, and an effortlessly magnetic aura. When Venus is in the ascendant, people tend to have soft, symmetrical features, clear skin, and fluid movements. The frame is usually average, not overly tall or short, but everything seems in place. There's often a natural elegance in how they walk, dress, and carry themselves. It's not about commanding a room with physical size, but about drawing attention without trying. Their height might not be remarkable, but their presence definitely is. Venus with a tall planet like Jupiter or Saturn in the Lagna can subtly influence the overall build. With Jupiter, the native may appear more voluptuous or rounded. The average height remains, but there's fullness, like a classical sculptor's idea of beauty. With Saturn, on the other hand, Venus may lean toward a more slender and refined frame. The grace remains, but now it's channeled through minimalism and restraint. The result is elegant rather than luxurious. If Venus is with a short planet like Mercury or Mars, it usually refines the physical structure. A Venus-Mars conjunction often creates a sensually athletic body, short or medium in height but toned, charming, and bold. With Mercury, it gives a more delicate, youthful appeal, light features, quick movements, and a flirtatious sparkle. The height might stay modest, but the combination creates a lively and expressive physical charm. When Venus conjoins the Moon, both of which are linked to softness and beauty, the result is often an enchanting appearance. Moist eyes, smooth skin, and a body that flows rather than jerks. Height may stay average or below, but there's a glow that's impossible to miss. It's the kind of presence that doesn't enter with noise, but quietly fills a room. With Rahu, Venus gets exaggerated, sometimes too much. This can make someone appear striking or even seductive, with sharp features and heightened glamour. The build can still be average, but Rahu's influence may give an amplified Venusian effect. Think bold fashion, attention-grabbing style, or a magnetic walk. With Ketu, Venus becomes subtler. The native may still be attractive, but in an understated or even ethereal way, like someone beautiful who doesn't realize it, or doesn't care. Sign placement adds more detail. Venus in Taurus or Libra gives a classic, symmetrical build and graceful movements. In Pisces, where Venus is exalted, beauty is heightened, often with a soft, dreamy appearance. In Virgo, where Venus is debilitated, the charm becomes more functional, clean, minimal, precise, though still noticeable. Fiery or airy signs bring sparkle. Earthy signs ground Venus' sensuality and form. So with Venus, height isn't the key factor. It's the harmony and proportion that stand out. These individuals don't overpower you physically. They enchant you. It's not about stature, it's about symmetry. A Venusian body is a quiet poem, measured, balanced, and effortlessly graceful. Planetary glances, upward, downward, straight, sideways. Venus, Part 5. Let's now explore Venus, the planet of beauty, affection, and harmony, whose natural glance is also sideways, much like Mercury. But where Mercury's side glance is sharp, fast, and analytical, Venus's sideways look is slower, graceful, and inviting. When Venus is strong in a chart, especially in the ascendant, 2nd, 7th, or 12th houses, you'll often see a physical and emotional expression that is elegant, socially aware, and charmingly indirect. A Venusian sideways glance is one of connection, not confrontation. These individuals don't usually look straight into your soul like the moon or past you like the sun. They look beside you, around you, with a softness that says, "I'm here, but I'm not imposing." This subtlety is part of their allure. Their gaze isn't forceful. It draws you in gently. They might tilt their head when listening, glance through lowered lashes, or smile slightly before turning their eyes. It's emotional, but artful. This sideways glance often makes people with strong Venus seem emotionally warm and socially magnetic. They appear approachable without being overly direct. There's a romantic or artistic quality to their presence, whether in speech, movement, or appearance. Their gestures are fluid, and their body language expresses a desire for peace, beauty, and mutual enjoyment, not dominance or control. When Venus is with an upward-glancing planet like the Sun or Mars, the softness of the side glance can be balanced by more goal-oriented energy. Venus-Sun creates someone with grace and poise, but also dignity. They carry charm with a quiet confidence. Venus-Mars, on the other hand, can give the gaze a flirty intensity, a sideways look that's both playful and bold, often magnetic and physically expressive. With downward-glancing planets like Saturn or Rahu, Venus's lightness can become muted or complex. Venus-Saturn may produce a person who looks sidewise with hesitation, guarded or cautious in how they share affection. The beauty remains, but it may be paired with restraint. Venus Rahu, however, can intensify the charm into seduction. The glance becomes hypnotic or provocative, attracting attention even when unintended. When paired with Mercury, who also glances sideways, Venus becomes even more expressive and communicative. This combo is often seen in speakers, writers, performers, or designers, people who use both language and aesthetics to connect. With the Moon, Venus adds emotional resonance. The glance becomes warm, emotionally sensitive, and soulfully expressive. Venus in air signs enhances its social curiosity, sideways glances filled with interest, flirtation, or play. In water signs, it becomes tender, romantic, and emotionally layered. In fire signs, there's more dramatic flair, while in earth signs, it becomes composed and sensuous. But in all signs, Venus retains its signature quality: approachability, non-aggression, and grace through gesture. So when Venus leads, the glance doesn't challenge or command, it invites. These are the people who smile without speaking, who make you feel seen without staring you down. Their body language speaks in poetry, and their eyes are the soft punctuation marks. The Venusian glance says, "I'm open to beauty, to feeling, and to connection, just not too directly. Let's meet somewhere in between."